The morning sun cast long shadows across New Haven's Central Plaza as Captain Nadia Patel completed her routine inspection of the colony's defense systems. 3 years of peace had made the daily check seem almost ceremonial, but 20 years of military service had taught her that peace was often fleeting. The colony, humanity's most ambitious venture into deep space, housed nearly 1 million souls who had left Earth seeking a fresh start among the stars. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual." Lieutenant Raj Sharma's voice crackled through her comm unit. "Multiple objects entering the system, configuration unlike anything we've seen before." Nadia's hand instinctively tightened on her tablet. Scale: massive. Largest object appears to be roughly 15 kilometers in length. They're decelerating rapidly. She was already moving toward the command center, her mind racing through protocols that hadn't been needed since New Haven's establishment. "Sound general quarters. Quietly. I don't want to cause panic, but I want us ready." The objects turned out to be ships, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight in ways that made them seem almost alive. They approached with a grace that belied their enormous size, taking up position just beyond the colony's outer markers. When they broadcast their first message, it was in perfect English. "People of New Haven, we are the Kravax Empire. We come in peace and friendship." The next few days were a whirlwind of diplomatic exchanges and technological demonstrations. The Kravax appeared to be everything humanity had hoped to find among the stars: advanced, peaceful, and willing to share their knowledge. Their ambassador, a towering figure named Vorskak, spoke of cultural exchange and mutual prosperity. But Nadia couldn't shake her unease. Something about their perfect understanding of human languages and customs felt too convenient. She noticed how their eyes lingered on the colony's infrastructure, how their questions always seemed to probe for weaknesses. Her fears were confirmed 3 weeks after first contact. The attack came without warning during the signing ceremony for what was supposed to be a historic treaty. Energy shields snapped into place around the colony, trapping everyone inside. Vorskak's friendly demeanor vanished as quickly as the smile from his face. "Your species shows promise," he announced to the stunned crowd. "Under proper guidance, you will make excellent servants of the Empire. Resist, and we will demonstrate why no race has successfully opposed us in 10,000 years." What the Kravax hadn't counted on was humanity's long history of refusing to submit to tyranny. As their troops began their occupation, Nadia was already implementing contingency plans she'd hoped never to use. Underground bunkers, designed to protect against natural disasters, became resistance headquarters. Civilian communication networks, built with redundancy in mind, transformed into a web of resistance coordination. "They think they know us," Nadia told her hastily assembled council of colony leaders. "They study our history, our technology, our habits. But they've missed something fundamental about human nature." She pulled up a display showing the colony's hidden resources and evacuation routes. "We don't break under pressure. We adapt. We overcome. And we never, ever accept chains." The first act of resistance came not with a bang, but with silence. When the Kravax attempted to implement their control systems, they found their carefully planned takeover hampered by small but crucial technical failures. Equipment malfunctioned in ways that seemed random but were anything but. Communication systems suffered mysterious interruptions. As Nadia watched the frustration grow among their would-be conquerors, she allowed herself a small smile. The Kravax had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed that humanity's relative technological inferiority meant they would be easy to subjugate. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. In her makeshift command center deep beneath the colony's surface, Nadia looked at the determined faces around her. Engineers, soldiers, teachers, farmers, every profession and background united in purpose. "They think they're our superiors," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "Let's show them why that's the biggest mistake they've ever made." The resistance was about to begin, and with it, humanity's first step toward becoming a force that would reshape the galaxy. Marcus Torres hadn't planned on becoming a revolutionary. 6 months ago, He'd been a quantum mechanics professor, more concerned with wave functions than warfare. Now he stood in a hidden laboratory beneath New Haven's surface, surrounded by stolen Kravax technology and the desperate hopes of humanity. The crystalline structure of their quantum processors is unlike anything we've seen, he explained to the gathered resistance leaders. But the underlying principles, those we understand, and what we understand, we can improve upon. The lab, concealed within an abandoned mining complex, hummed with activity. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, reverse engineering Kravax technology, while developing countermeasures against their weapons. The air was thick with determination and the sharp scent of ozone from experimental devices. Captain Patel's resistance had grown from scattered acts of sabotage into an organized movement. Every failed Kravax system and corrupted database had taught them something new. Every captured piece of technology brought them closer to understanding their enemy's weaknesses. Their shields operate on a frequency we can detect, Marcus continued, activating a holographic display. More importantly, we found a way to disrupt them. He gestured to a device that looked deceptively simple, a compact cylinder filled with swirling energy. We're calling it the quantum disruptor. It creates a localized field that interferes with their shield harmonics. The development hadn't come easily. 3 resistance members had died stealing the components they needed. 5 more had been captured during testing phases, but each sacrifice had brought them closer to their goal. Lieutenant Sharma, who had become the Resistance's head of operations, studied the device with intense interest. How many can we produce? With our current resources, maybe 20. But here's the beautiful part. We can teach other colonies how to make them. The Kravax spread themselves thin trying to control all our settlements. They never expected us to maintain communication between colonies. The Resistance's greatest advantage was the Kravax's fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. They saw humanity's technological inferiority as proof of lesser intelligence, never grasping that innovation often flourishes under pressure. The turning point came during a raid on a Kravax supply depot. Marcus accompanied the strike team, needed to identify crucial components they could steal. What they found instead was something far more valuable. Evidence that the Kravax Empire wasn't as invincible as they claimed. These are damage reports, Marcus explained later, spreading captured data tablets across the planning table. Reports from other sectors, other species who fought back. The Kravax have lost battles before. They've even lost wars. They just suppressed the information to maintain their aura of invincibility. The discovery energized the resistance. Knowledge that others had successfully fought the Kravax spread through secure channels to other colonies. Humanity began to coordinate on a scale their oppressors had thought impossible for a primitive species. Marcus found himself working around the clock, splitting his time between weapons development and analyzing Kravax tactical data. He saw patterns emerging, weaknesses in their strategies, gaps in their defenses. The Kravax relied heavily on their technological superiority, which made them predictable. They follow the same basic protocols everywhere, he told Captain Patel during a late-night strategy session. They never adapt because they've never needed to. But we're forcing them to fight a kind of war they've never experienced. The Resistance's first major victory came 3 weeks later. A Kravax patrol base, one of several controlling movement between colony sectors, went dark. When reinforcements arrived, they found their shields useless against the humans' quantum disruptors. The battle was short, decisive, and sent shockwaves through the Kravax command structure. This is just the beginning, Marcus told the celebrating resistance members. Every victory teaches us more. Every captured facility gives us more resources. And most importantly, every success shows more colonists that we can win this fight. The Kravax responded with increased brutality, but their actions only strengthened humanity's resolve. Underground networks expanded. Manufacturing facilities, hidden in deep caves and abandoned structures, increased production of quantum disruptors and other hybrid weapons that merged human ingenuity with Kravak's technology. As Marcus watched the resistance grow stronger each day, he realized that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the technology they'd developed or the strategies they'd devised. It was their ability to adapt, to learn, to take what was meant to enslave them and turn it into tools of liberation. The Kravaks had wanted servants. Instead, they'd created adversaries who grew stronger with each attempt to subdue them. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity was pushed too far. Dr. Jun Park stood before the Resistance Council, her hand steady despite the weight of her discovery. The holographic display behind her showed complex molecular structures rotating slowly in the air, but it was her words that held everyone's attention. "They're not invincible," she said, highlighting a particular section of the display. "Their crystalline biology has a critical weakness, one they've kept hidden for millennia." The past year of resistance had taught humanity more about their enemies than the Kravaks had ever intended to reveal. Every captured soldier, every seized database, every intercepted communication had added to their understanding. But Dr. Park's discovery changed everything. "Their cellular structure requires precise electromagnetic harmony," she explained. "Disrupt that harmony, and their entire biological system begins to break down. They're not just vulnerable to our quantum disruptors, they're terrified of them." The revelation explained the Kravaks' increasingly erratic behavior. Their brutal efficiency had given way to hesitation. Their bold attacks had been replaced by cautious probes. They weren't just fighting humans anymore. They were fighting fear. Captain Patil leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Can we weaponize this knowledge?" "We already have," Dr. Park replied, bringing up schematics for a new device. "I call it the Resonance Cascade Generator. It creates a field that directly targets their biological frequency. Non-lethal, but completely incapacitating. And the best part, it doesn't affect humans at all." The implications were staggering. For the first time since the invasion, humanity had a way to fight the Kravaks without risking civilian casualties. The resistance could take back populated areas without turning them into battlefields. Marcus Torres, who had been quietly observing from the back of the room, spoke up. "How long until we can deploy?" "The prototypes are ready," Dr. Park answered. "We've been testing them in secret for weeks. They work better than we hoped." The first test of the new technology came sooner than expected. A Kravaks patrol stumbled upon one of the Resistance's supply routes, forcing their hand. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle at all. When the resonance generators activated, the Kravaks soldiers simply collapsed. Word spread quickly through the Resistance network. Dr. Park worked tirelessly with engineering teams across multiple colonies, sharing the designs through secure channels. The Kravaks had forced humanity to become more connected than ever before, creating an underground network that now spelled their doom. The first major offensive came at dawn. Resistance forces, armed with both quantum disruptors and resonance generators, struck simultaneously at Kravak strongholds across 3 colonies. The enemy's response was chaos. Their supposedly superior tactical systems proved useless against an opponent who could literally walk through their defenses. "They never understood us," Dr. Park told her team as reports of victories poured in. "They saw our biological simplicity as a weakness. They never considered that it might be an advantage." The Kravaks attempted to adapt, modifying their shields and armor to protect against the resonance weapons, but they were fighting against time as well as humanity. Each failed countermeasure revealed more of their weaknesses. Each defeated garrison provided more resources for the resistance. The liberation of New Haven's central district marked a turning point. The sight of Kravak soldiers retreating in disarray, their crystalline forms shimmering with distress, became a symbol of hope. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore. They were winning. Dr. Park found herself working closely with Marcus Torres, combining her biological insights with his quantum mechanics expertise. Together, they developed weapons that could penetrate even the strongest Kravaks' defenses. More importantly, they began to understand the fundamental principles behind Kravaks' technology. They're not gods, she explained to a group of resistance scientists. They're not even necessarily more advanced than us. They just took a different path in their evolution and technological development. And now we're showing them that our path has its own advantages. As human forces reclaimed more territory, they discovered something unexpected. Messages from other species under Kravak's control. The news of humanity's successful resistance had spread beyond Earth's colonies. Other races, long suppressed by the Empire, saw hope in humanity's victories. Captain Patel called another council meeting. "We're not just fighting for ourselves anymore," she announced, displaying the messages from potential allies. "We're fighting for every species that's ever been enslaved by the Kravaks. And we're showing them all that the Empire isn't invincible." Dr. Park looked at the data streaming in from across the galaxy. Reports of other resistances forming, of Kravak's forces stretched thin trying to maintain control. The Empire had made a fatal mistake. In trying to enslave humanity, they had instead created the catalyst for their own downfall. The war wasn't over, but its course had changed irrevocably. Humanity had done more than just survive. They had evolved, adapted, and emerged stronger. The galaxy was witnessing the birth of a new power, one forged in the fires of resistance and tempered by unwavering determination. Commander Rashida Hassan stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first starship built with hybrid Kravaks technology. Through the viewscreen, she watched as vessels from 7 different alien species moved into formation alongside her fleet. 2 years of resistance had led to this moment, the final push to end the Kravaks Empire's reign of tyranny. "Fleet commanders report ready," her communications officer announced. "The Zentari have confirmed their quantum corridors are stable. The Nixtai battle groups are in position. We can begin on your order." Rashida took a moment to appreciate the irony. The Kravaks had sought to isolate and subjugate humanity. Instead, they had united not only Earth's colonies but dozens of oppressed species across the galaxy. Their empire was about to face the very thing they had feared most, a coalition of races fighting as equals. Dr. Park's resonance technology had been adapted for each allied species, creating weapons tailored to their unique physiologies. Marcus Torres's quantum innovations had revolutionized their understanding of space combat. Captain Patel's strategic network had evolved into an interstellar resistance movement. "All ships, execute Operation Daybreak," Rashida commanded. The words carried the weight of humanity's journey from victims to liberators. The battle began with a precision that would have been impossible months earlier. Quantum corridors, tunnels through space developed by the Zentari, allowed their combined fleet to strike simultaneously at multiple Kravak strongholds. The Empire's supposedly impregnable defense network crumbled before weapons they had never anticipated facing. On the Defiance's tactical display, Rashida watched as decades of oppression began to unravel. Each victory sparked new uprisings. Every liberated world joined the fight, adding their own innovations to the Alliance's arsenal. The Kravaks found themselves facing an enemy that grew stronger with each passing hour. "Their command structure is collapsing," reported her tactical officer. "The quantum disruption fields are causing cascade failures in their major systems. They can't coordinate their responses." The Kravaks had built their empire on the assumption that technological superiority guaranteed victory. They had never faced an enemy that could adapt their own technology and improve upon it. They had never imagined that their subjected races would learn to work together, each contributing their unique strengths to a greater whole. The decisive moment came during the assault on the Kravaks' throne world. As the Defiance led the attack, Rashida received a transmission from the Imperial Palace. For the first time in recorded history, the Kravaks' emperor was offering to negotiate. "They expect us to show mercy," Captain Patel's voice came through the command channel. She had become humanity's chief diplomat to their alien allies. "They expect us to be as arrogant in victory as they were." Rashida smiled. "Then let's surprise them one last time." The terms of surrender were unprecedented in galactic history. The Kravaks' empire would be dissolved, its territories reformed into an alliance of free worlds. Their technology would be shared among all species, ending millennia of enforced inequality. Most importantly, they would face justice for their crimes not through revenge, but through restitution. "Your greatest mistake," Rashida told the Krivak's emperor during the surrender ceremony, "was believing that dominance meant strength. Real strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down." In the years that followed, humanity found itself in an unexpected role, not conquerors, but mediators. Their experience in combining different technologies and adapting to new challenges made them natural problem solvers in the post-Empire galaxy. Their victory had proven that true power came not from superiority, but from cooperation and innovation. The Defiance was transformed into a museum, a symbol of the day when humanity helped reshape the galaxy. But its most important lesson was inscribed on a plaque in its main hall. "Our greatest strength lies not in our ability to fight, but in our capacity to unite, adapt, and grow stronger together." Dr. Park continued her research, now leading an interspecies scientific coalition. Marcus Torres established universities where different races could share their knowledge freely. Captain Patel helped forge the treaties that would ensure lasting peace, and Commander Hassan. She took command of the new Galactic Defense Force, ensuring that no empire would ever again threaten the freedom of any species. The galaxy entered a new age, one where diversity was celebrated and cooperation valued above conquest. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, it had emerged as a beacon of hope, proving that even the darkest night could lead to a brighter dawn. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the first generation of children born to this new era looked up at the stars and saw not a threat, but a promise of endless possibilities, of adventures yet to come, and of a future where the combined strength of many would always triumph over the domination of few.